Hey, you guys, happy Sunday. Let's just get into the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story that is just everywhere. You can't escape it.
I will be doing commentary on my own damn video. Doesn't she look like Caitlin? Caitlin is from the original Degrassi Junior High. I think she does. Gypsy's cute.
There are documentaries, there's an HBO movie, Oxygen has some things going on with her, and there's many YouTube creators right here that are talking about Gypsy Rose Blanchard. But believe it or not, everybody has not heard of her. And if you are a true crime junkie like me, you have heard of her. Actually, this story broke almost a decade ago. So, I'm just going to go over the pivotal moments, and there are a lot of pivotal moments. And it's actually way too much to put in this video, but I intend to. So, Gypsy Rose was serving a 10-year prison sentence, and I believe she got out of jail after doing 8 years. Granted parole. She was released December 28th, 2023, right before the new year. So she is released now to start a new year and a new life as a new wife with her new husband, Ryan Anderson, who was her pen pal that she married in 2022 while in prison. And of course, when she gets out, she sees her father, Rod Blanchard, his wife, and her stepsister. They were all there to greet her. A little party was happening for her. Cool. So, sideline for Rod Blanchard. I seen Rod in a special or something some years ago, and I remember thinking, like, he is such a really fine guy. I said that. And he still is, because I was definitely on his page. He still is.
I was looking at pictures of him when he was younger, and he was very cute, very cute. And it's something now about the older guys. I mean, oh my God. I think they call them the silver fox. They just look so good the older they get. I know a lot of women can concur with me.
I think, though, through his talking during this interview that I was watching him in, I think that he was really railroaded. I think that he was probably more naive because I do believe Dee Dee Blanchard, she's been around the block a few times, and I believe she had a lot more knowledge as to the dark side than Rod had, so to speak. Dee Dee Claudina Petrie, she was 24 when she and Rod married. He was only 18, and I believe they got married in 1989 or 1990. Their marriage didn't last long. Rod was now 19 and had a baby on the way, and he was a divorced man. Rod wanted to stay in his child's life, though it was going to be a struggle because Dee Dee was a handful. On July 27th, 1991, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was born. Controlling Dee Dee was a little bit on the nutty side, and I believe she used that baby like an object to try to control Rod, and just made it hard for him. The first thing that new mother Dee Dee thought was Gypsy had sleep apnea. An overwhelmed new mother, who was a nurse's aide, just knew that her baby daughter was ill, and 8 years later, Gypsy was still ill. By this time, Dee Dee's odd strict ways had kept Rod a little bit of a distance. Rod didn't understand. Gypsy was playful and active when she was a toddler. Now she had every illness under the sun. Okay, so in this picture, Dee Dee and Rod are actually supposed to be divorced because they divorced before Gypsy was born. I actually think that in some kind of way, Dee Dee still wanted Rod back and definitely wanted Rod in her life. She might even had initiated the divorce to try to be the bigger one or to have something lingering over him, but she wanted him. And is that a little black doll? I mean, if it is a little black doll, that is really, really cute. I have a niece that is 100% Caucasian, and I gave her two dolls, a black one to represent me and a white one to represent her. And she took the black one and she said, Auntie, this is me. She is beautiful. So I'm just curious. Okay, moving on. If you asked Dee Dee. Gypsy was diagnosed with epilepsy, then leukemia, some cancer. She was paralyzed. She had muscular dystrophy. She had cerebral palsy. She was also in a wheelchair and had to use a feeding tube. Gypsy had underwent multiple operations, including multiple gastrointestinal operations, eye surgery to remove her salivary gland. When doctors would question Dee Dee, she would simply stop going to them and find another doctor and continue where she left off at. Yes, Rod would see his daughter on and off, and it seemed every time he would come around his baby girl, something else was going on with her. But he still praised Dee Dee, didn't doubt her, at least not to her face, maybe in her mind. He told her that she was the best mother. After all, Dee Dee quit her job and was giving their sick child 24-hour round-the-clock care. When Rod did visit his daughter, Dee Dee never let them alone. She would stay there, and Rod said that was a bit strange, but he never questioned it. However, Dee Dee's family questioned why Gypsy was using a wheelchair. They knew that she didn't need one. They received no response from Dee Dee. She just simply packed up and moved. When Gypsy was 14, Hurricane Katrina had ravished their home in Slidell, Louisiana, leaving them homeless. A single mother without housing and a dying child with so many special needs had nowhere to go. Habitat for Humanity built Dee Dee and her daughter a home with a wheelchair ramp in Springfield, Missouri. Dee Dee and Gypsy lived off Social Security, disability checks, food stamps, and Medicaid, paid for all the medical expenses that Gypsy Rose would get. Gypsy didn't know, but her father had been paying child support the entire time, so it seems this small family was living pretty good off welfare and her ex-husband's child support. But wait, there's more. Good Samaritans were giving them gifts and cash donations along with charitable donations and even the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Dee Dee and Gypsy was flying all over the country to concerts, meeting celebrities, going to galas, even Disney World. With Gypsy unable to walk, vision now impaired, and using that feeding tube for food and now her medicine, the only friend that she had in the world was her mother and her stuffed animals. Gypsy said she felt that her mother couldn't do no wrong, but her mother was doing plenty wrong. Gypsy could walk. She could see. She never needed a feeding tube. Everything that ever happened to her medically, she never needed. Her mother just told her that, and the doctors that. All the medical records were wiped clean from Louisiana because of Hurricane Katrina. So Dee Dee was able to fresh start in Missouri with more medical lies. Dee Dee gave Gypsy a numbing agent on her gums, which caused her to drool, so she appeared to look like a person with severe special needs. And also it contributed to her tooth loss and tooth decay. It was also said that Dee Dee pulled some of Gypsy's teeth out. She would also give her medicines to give her symptoms right before doctor appointments so that when she went, she would kind of resemble the ailments that Dee Dee was saying that Gypsy had. Gypsy also spoke in a kind of child tone, if she spoke at all. Gypsy was 4'11". Even as an adult, she's still small. And back then she was very frail. That small status made her fit the part that Dee Dee was trying to make her fit. She would make her daughter's hair be shaved bald or shaved very close to being bald to appear like a person that was going through some type of chemo and cancer treatments. It's believed that Dee Dee suffered from Munchausen by proxy. Or was she just using her daughter as a cash cow? Or was she just an insane nut? I do believe all three. I do believe she had Munchausen by proxy. And I believe that she liked the attention that doctors was giving her and nurses and probably strangers, the concern, and like the fact that she had to call Rod, who was married, and this was important. This is about his daughter. I believe she liked all of that. Definitely. And then the trips, the free trips, and the fact that they were kind of like some type of celebrities in their neighborhood. Yeah, Definitely. And all the money coming in, and all you have to do is sit home with your daughter who's healthy. There are people right now that have children that have severe mental illnesses and, deformities and all kind of things. And they have to live and they have to raise their child. But, Dee Dee had a perfectly healthy child that she was trying to turn her baby into those people. And I'm sure those people that are raising their kids now that have issues like that would have loved for their child to enter in this world healthy. I think all of three would be accurate. One doctor believed Dee Dee did have Munchausen by proxy, where the care of a child is made up and exaggerated to get attention on the person caring for the child and not the child. Dr. Flasherstein told other doctors and warned physicians about Dee Dee. She just ended up leaving him, finding other physicians as far as 3 hours away. She was going to keep this going. She had taken Gypsy to over 150 doctors throughout those years. Gypsy wasn't allowed to speak. Dee Dee did all the talking with that southern charming accent they talk about. She was very sweet and convincing, and they believed her. Obviously, they believed her. All Gypsy did was play with her stuffed animals. She was promised that the two later would have fun. Gypsy was now becoming a young woman. This is years later, and she's in her early 20s. I honestly don't know what age Gypsy was in this picture. I'm just showing you guys pictures of her that you probably already have seen, but I have no idea how old she was in this pic. She started to communicate with a girl over the phone and online. And of course, Dee Dee didn't like it. She didn't approve at all. But there was going to be a lot of things coming up in Gypsy's life that Dee Dee didn't approve of. Gypsy was starting to think about things like kissing a boy liking her, and all of the things that an average young woman and girl would think about. When Dee Dee found out, she destroyed Gypsy's laptop by smashing it, and she threatened to smash her hands. She would even starve Gypsy, sometimes as punishment for a day or two. I always wondered, did sometime she allow Gypsy to actually go ahead and eat regular food? I mean, I'm sure Dee Dee was in there hog-mouthing McDonald's, so was she actually allowed to eat? Because I'm pretty sure that some of the reasons she put her on that feeding tube was to keep her at a certain weight. Most definitely, she did that. I wonder, was Gypsy able to eat, or did she sneak food maybe when her mom wasn't around and eat it the normal way? And she even started to physically assault her, if not emotionally and mentally wasn't good enough. Gypsy says she was too scared to fight her mother back. Gypsy was now at her wit's end. She ran away with a 36-year-old man that she met at a sci-fi convention in 2011. It wasn't long before Dee Dee found her at Dan's farm in Arkansas. I know a lot of people have been trying to find this 36-year-old man named Dan out of Arkansas. I'm pretty sure that this dude does exist. That's probably not his real name. However, Gypsy might not have even known his real name, but I'm pretty sure it was another guy in her life besides the one that would ultimately do that act for her and her current husband. I'm pretty sure it was other men in her life. Gypsy was healthy. She was fine. She had a brain. She had the internet. I'm pretty sure it was other men. So, after Dee Dee found her, she chained her to the bed so Gypsy could not run away anymore. Gypsy had one day found a Medicaid card that belonged to her saying that she was 19. Gypsy thought she was 15, so her mother had pretty much shaved 4 years off of her age to make her continue appearing younger. Gypsy and the others would get online, like most young people would, and she would create dating profiles. And she had created one on Christian singles. And she met a guy named Nicholas Godechan. I'm just going to call him Nick. And he was from Big Bend, Wisconsin. They secretly talked, text, and FaceTime for over 2 years. And they were in love. Plans to wed, have children, which they already had named their children. In 2015, Gypsy would finally meet her prince, as in Prince Charming. She dressed as Cinderella. Now, I did read he dressed as Prince Charming, but I'm not quite sure. Her mother unknowingly took her to this theater where they were presenting this movie, probably for young people, where Nicholas was going to be able to meet Dee Dee. Before the meeting, Gypsy and Nick had relations in a restroom. However, Dee Dee didn't like him or want him around. Gypsy said it's because Dee Dee was jealous. Dee Dee said Gypsy could not see him anymore. And Gypsy just thought that her mother just pretty much wanted all her attention and wasn't getting it. So she was not allowed to see Nick, her Prince Charming, anymore. This was a long argument that went on for weeks. Dee Dee called her a bitch, a whore, and would throw things at her, wouldn't let her eat. It was terrible. But Gypsy still managed to keep in touch with Nick. Gypsy wanted a life. She wanted to be a normal young woman, and her mother was interfering with that. She just wanted to escape. She just wanted her mother dead. She didn't hate her mother at all, but she was tired of this lifestyle and wanted her mother dead, and Nick knew how she felt. So now there were plans in order to kill Dee Dee. Gypsy didn't think that Nick would actually do this. June 9, 2015, Nick got a motel room where Gypsy went to one of her many doctor's appointments with Dee Dee. And when they returned, Dee Dee was in bed asleep. Gypsy opened the door for Nick, gave him some gloves, a knife, and some duct tape. Gypsy went and hid in the bathroom. She crouched down in the tub, she covered her ears, and she heard her mother calling her name several times. Gypsy said she wanted to get up, go to the room and help her mother, but she was frozen, she couldn't move. She heard her mother scream once, then it was quiet. Everything was done. Dee Dee Blanchard was dead. Gypsy and Nick went back to Gypsy's room and they had sex. Later, they would take a cab to Nick's motel, happy and excited about the new life ahead that they would start together. Her mother had to die. If not, she would end up killing her. Dee Dee would tell people that one couldn't live without the other. Did Dee Dee already have plans that both of their lives would end? To Gypsy, with excitement came hurt, pain, remorse. She hoped her mother's soul would forgive her. And Nick, he loved Gypsy. He just wanted to protect her, he wanted a life with her, and everything that they had planned. The couple didn't know that later on they would be seen on CCTV footage in Walmart shopping without a care in the world. And on Dee Dee and Gypsy's Facebook page, someone was making a very vulgar status. Quote, "The bitch is dead," end quote. And a whole bunch of other stuff that had people startled. Had she been hacked? Has this page been hacked? The police were called. David and Kim Blanchard had went by the home, and by the way, they're no relation to Rod Blanchard at all. Dee Dee and Gypsy's house is now a tourist attraction. I guess it's like the Amityville Horror of Missouri. So people are coming by to look at it. I don't know if someone's currently renting it, but I guess whenever there's, not just a death, but a murder, and a high-profile murder at that. No one answered the door, and I believe a kitchen window was open, so David crawled through and he saw Gypsy's 3 wheelchairs. It was still in the home. Where was Gypsy? She needed those wheelchairs in order to get around. When the police finally got there, they would do a little bit more looking, and Dee Dee's body was found in her bedroom. The pictures that you guys saw before this one were the accurate pictures of Dee Dee and Gypsy's home.
This picture here, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if this is a picture from the film set or if this is the actual crime scene photo. I'm honestly not sure. But if it's not, this is probably in actuality how the police found Dee Dee Blanchard. Face down, she had been stabbed to death. This was several days later. It appeared that someone abducted Gypsy and killed Dee Dee. Gypsy would later say that she made those posts because she wanted somebody to find her mother's body. She wanted her mother to be buried. And she didn't want her rotting away in that home. Now, those vulgar Facebook messages were tracked through an IP address to Big Bend. The couple was arrested, and they say they were preparing to get on a Greyhound bus. I don't know. On the news programs of the arrest, the ones that knew Gypsy was shocked that she was able to walk. I think they was more shocked that she was walking than she'd actually fled with the man who had killed her mother. Rod, he was in disbelief. He said he felt stupid. He didn't know that all this was going on and completely under his nose. In prison, Gypsy felt like she was finally free. That's what she said. The small child that was born premature due to the fact that she had a mental capacity of a 7-year-old for the remainder of her life. The child whose life expectancy kept moving from 7 years old to 15 years old to whatever age she was going to make it to. The child that had sleep apnea, leukemia, muscular dystrophy, chromosomal disorder. The child who was in a wheelchair, paralyzed, and who was told that she couldn't walk and don't let anyone see you walk. The child who had multiple surgeries that she didn't need and took multiple medications that she didn't want. The child that had vision impairment, even numbing medicines to make her drool and teeth rotting, and medicines that just made her plain sick for doctor visits. The child who had asthma and seizures. The child who had slept with a breathing machine. The child who was beaten for wanting a female friend in her life and starved for wanting a boyfriend in her life. The child who was chained in bed to keep her from running away with older men. She felt freer in prison. Nicholas Godejohn, he received life, even though his lawyers felt that he was manipulated by Gypsy. Nick has a spectrum disorder diagnosis and a low IQ. And his lawyer said that Gypsy learned the arts of manipulation from her mother. You know, there are 3 types of people who follow or feel some way about the Gypsy Rose case. They're the ones who care, the ones who don't care, and the ones who don't know. The people that do care, they're happy that Gypsy is free from all that mental, emotional, and physical abuse that she had faced since birth. And the people that support her following and her social media platforms, the people that don't support her, they say that she should not have killed her mother, that there were other ways that she could have handled this, that she's now basking in the glory, that she orchestrated it all, that she's flying all over with her husband, and now she has a net worth of $3 million. She has book deals and movies under her collar. But they say she is manipulative, just like her mother. So, she fired back from haters. And they said this is what she said, that her husband is rocking her world and she's getting a D every night. I'm like, really? Did you say that, Gypsy? Damn, Gypsy, I believe that's that 10-year lock coming out of her because damn, right? Now, me, I'm actually looking forward to watching Gypsy's documentary. Do I support her? Do I not support her? Do I not care? Well, obviously, I'm writing about it. So, obviously, I have to care a little bit. I had been following this, and I think that this is terrible what happened to her. I do believe that she was pushed into a spot where she really didn't know what to do. I mean, she ran away and she was brought back. Every time she did something,
the punishment got worse. This is the only person she knew. This is the only person. And I believe she probably wanted to tell her dad stuff, but it didn't happen because Dee Dee was always there. And this was the only thing that she thought of. The only thing. Gypsy actually says that her grandfather, that would be her mother's mother, had sexually assaulted her when she was a child. He would take her to a back shed and perform acts on her, and he would touch her, and she had to touch him. And this was around the time when Dee Dee was in a car accident, so they went to live with her father and the stepmother. And this was going on. And allegedly, grandfather Claude Petrie, he had said that when he was engaging with this child that was 9, quote, "You don't want Papa to go to jail," end quote. And she never told anyone. She never told anyone. And Claude Petrie had said Gypsy at 4 was coming on to him. And we know a lot of pedos, they will say something like that most definitely. So that's horrible. A lot of people don't believe that that happened to Gypsy. They say she just wants attention. You know, there is a lot more other things, like her real situation, if you don't believe this, that brings on enough attention. I don't think she would just throw the grandfather in there at all. Now, a lot of creators on another side are speaking about the resemblance of Gypsy's husband and her mother. And I thought this was at first photoshopped or blended together. It's not. They do resemble. They actually do. And now that you see it, you just can't unsee it.
Yeah, they really do favor a lot. They really do. And this photo is so not photoshopped. What if, because Gypsy did want her mother's soul to forgive her, so what if her mother's soul is now inside her new husband? Yeah, I'm really going left with this, but I mean, the resemblance is there. Girl, your man looks like your mom.
Well, I'm about to Miss Cleo right quick. I'm going to predict a little something about this couple. I do believe that in the near future, there'll be a kid or two in the very near future. I do believe that trouble will happen in their marriage. It'll be infidelity, of course, and we know who will be the cause of that. I believe that when the world that follow cases like this start to stray and start to look at other things, I believe there'll be an attempt at a failed reality show. Will they do it? I'm not sure. Will it last? Ryan, who's said to be kind of shy and didn't know how his life was going to be in the public eye, well, you married a high-profile person whose case was in the news. So you kind of had an inkling on what was going to happen. And besides the snarky comments, I kind of think you like it right now. And just remember, you didn't have to kill her mother to get the girl. So it's like a win-win for you. I do have some advice for Gypsy Rose Blanchard Anderson. Everyone deserves a soulmate, and I do hope that Ryan is your soulmate, and I hope that when the lights and cameras go away, that you two can have a functional life in your little house somewhere and just live like normal people, because that's what you said you wanted to do. And right now you are certainly not living like a normal person, but of course I understand the reasons why. And you do look like your dad, which is really good that you favor your dad. I mean, your mom in her earlier years, she was pretty, but good thing you favor your dad. And my advice is, Gypsy, stack your paper, because when it's over and done and the world moves on to something else, we do it quickly, like in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.